In today's crazy world, we're constantly using things we don't need, doing things we don't like, and never really moving forward or getting the results we're hoping for in either ourselves or our animals. Are you ready for a change? Join me, Wendy Patrick, your host on Quantumly Yours, Finnessiam Health's podcast, and become empowered to take control of you and your animals' health and well-being. We're all quantumly connected, so whether you're round the corner or around the world, it doesn't matter, because we can help each other and all work together on our journeys. So come, join me, and together we'll myth bust, share advice, knowledge, truths, and suggestions to help you awaken, grow, and continue your journey to a healthier, happier life. Hi, folks, and welcome to another episode of Quantumly Yours. I am your host, Wendy Patrick, owner and creator at Finnessiam Holistic Health for Pets and People. This topic that I'm going to address today, this evening, this morning, wherever you are, is close to my heart, which you will understand further on to the podcast, but something that is not going to be an easy topic to talk about, but I'm going to see where it goes. But before I get into it, I just want to thank you all for joining me again. If this is your first time, welcome. Hopefully, you will come back and see us again and again and again. You can get a hold of me through finnessiamhealth.com. All of the links will be underneath wherever you are finding this. Finnessiamhealth.com is our main website. So if you can't find us on the platforms, you can always go to our main website and find the links from there from our postings. You can get us on the usual RSS feed podcast sites. More of those are being added as we speak and as we continue to work and go through another journey of the techno side of things with my dear helper, Leo, who does all of our editing and putting up on the podcast sites for us. So I have to do a big shout out to the little guys in the background. Without him, I couldn't be doing this. So thank you to Leo. And we always have something to be thankful for. Sometimes it's hard to see that. And this topic that we're going to touch on is something that has affected me personally and has affected a lot of you. And sadly, is affecting a lot more people during these weird times than what a lot of us even want to see, acknowledge, realize, or whatever it may be. And that is suicide. Um, Suicide isn't painless. I don't care what the song says. And there are so many different ways to look at this. Please bear in mind, this is only my opinion, only my experience. You have different ways of looking at it, different religious beliefs that may affect your understanding or acceptance or unacceptance of it. But it happens, it's real, and we need to do something about it. Suicide has gone through the roof. There are more people dying from that during these stupid times than there is from any little bug that's going around. I don't care what way you think of it. This has gone on too much, too far, too long, and is hurting people that it should not be hurting. Suicide is difficult because a lot of times the people left behind are the ones with so many questions, so much grief, so much non-understanding, and so much guilt. So I'm going to talk about us that are still here first of all. We keep saying we could have done something different. We could have done something better. If only they had said something. I didn't even know there was anything wrong. What could I do? What did I miss? What did I not do right? If you're a parent or a family member as well, it hits home even harder, because you have that guilt of not being a good sibling or a good parent or a good child, even, because parents do this too. It doesn't matter what age you are. This isn't something that just affects young people. This affects every age group, every one of us. And yes, we're all about looking after the children, looking out for the children, and how this is impacting them, what's going on. And the amount of young people that I have heard that have committed suicide because they've been cut off from their friends, their work, or their friends from school. They've no social life anymore. They were stuck in lockdowns, and hopefully, a lot of this is alleviating now as the world starts to open up a bit. But those scars are there from those friends who aren't in the playground anymore. Those scars are there from that work colleague's desk, the one you used to have a joke with. You didn't know there was anything wrong. Or that lovely couple down the road that were just absolutely fantastic, that both took their own lives when they lost their business. These are really hard and true facts, folks. I don't care what COVID numbers are thrown up there on a screen somewhere. Look around, look in your own community, look in your own neighborhood, and just smile. Take off that bloody mask and smile at people. If you were going to get something, if you haven't already got it, your stupid mask is not going to protect you from sod all. Don't care what your mainstream's telling you, and I'm sick to death of the lies and the bullshit. I'm not going to hold back. No, I'm not going to hold back because I am sick and tired of the nonsense and the lies that people are accepting as truth when they know deep down this isn't right. Stand up. Stand in your sovereignty. Stand in your being that God created, or whatever you believe is the reason that you're here. And don't beat yourself up from something else that you could have done to stop someone's suicide. That's important. It's very important. I'll tell you it from the other side of the fence. I've been suicidal. I've tried a few times many years ago, and I lost my sister to it as well. I also lost my grandmother, but that was long before I was even born. So you can go, oh, genetic depression, bipolar, it's a genetic thing. You're not going to deal with it. Yes, you are. And yes, you can. And I am one person out of probably a lot, I hope a lot, who has been able to get to the other side of that line. But let me tell you what it's like on the dark side, if you like, because I'm not there anymore. I'm glad I'm not there anymore. I understand why I was there and how I was there. So if I can just shine a little bit of a light on that for anyone in the situation right now where they are suffering from depression, severe anxiety, um, low self esteem, anything at all that you would contribute to the fact where you don't think you're worthy, where you don't think you're loved, where you don't think you're needed, and where you don't think you're going to be missed. That's the big thing. You can try and justify the actions of considering suicide by thinking you're not going to be missed. You know that's a lie. You know that's a lie. And even if you don't think it is, you're blocking out maybe even just one or two people in this whole entire universe who actually you mean the absolute world to. They will miss you. And if it's not a two-legged, you can be darn sure it's a four-legged. One of the most difficult things to do whenever you are depressed is to have an animal. because now you have a responsibility. You cannot leave that animal because it can't fend for itself. Lots of people who are depressed will get an animal. So they do have a reason for living. Whichever it is, do it. But I know you've been told to cheer up, it'll change, things will get better. Right now, that's a real tough statement to make and be able to uphold it because lots of things are out of our control. This is all in God's time. This is a war of good and evil that's going on. Don't care what you want to call me for this. I've been looking at it long enough from far enough away and in the middle of it. But really, on the outskirts where I live, I'm very blessed to be rural during this present time and be able to see things from the outside without being right in the middle of it and having to go along and conform and be part of the herd, be a sheep. But whenever you're in that spot where you've got a big black cloud hanging over you, it doesn't have a silver lining. I'm Irish in that sense where it's a grey cloud, it's got a darker grey lining. Um, Always look on the worst side of things or the most gloom and doom side, because then you can go, well, if I look at the worst case scenario, things can only ever get better, right? Sometimes it's hard to grasp onto that tiny little thin thread that may pull you out of the darkness. But hold on, please. Hold on. Because somebody, something, someone, somewhere, you are going to save their life in return. You think that's hard to believe? That's fine. For those who have never contemplated suicide, don't turn around and tell someone, oh, they're just down in the dumps. They're just a troubled soul. Oh, they need some help. You have no idea. No idea. You really don't. For those of us that have been down in the dumps, a troubled soul, gloom and doom, you can't see a way out of it. You can look up through that tunnel to that little pinprick of light at the top. It's like being at the bottom of a well with very, very slippy, slimy, dark sides that you cannot get a grip onto to pull yourself out of it. Doesn't matter what people tell you to do. It doesn't matter anything else. And many, many, many of us never actually show people that's where we are because we've heard oh, cheer up. Oh, it's all right. Things are going to get better. It's like, no, no, they aren't. Shut up, go away. Okay, I'm just going to pretend from now on everything's wonderful. There's unicorns and skittles and butterflies dancing around all the time. And this is great. And then you go in behind closed doors, you take that facade off, you take off that mask, which is a completely different mask, and you contemplate all the ways to kill yourself. That may sound absolutely horrific to a lot of people, but that is actually how a lot of people live. So don't tell people they'll cheer up. And the thing is, as well, when we're on that other side where we can't cheer up, we don't understand because there's such a chemical imbalance in our system. It is going back to a nutrient deficiency. It is something that can be helped. I tried the drug route. I tried all these antidepressants. I tried with people, even my own husband at the time, saying, it's just a label. Get over it. That doesn't give you a right to now feel the way you do. Excuse me? So you block that out, you block them out, you block everything else out because no matter what, you don't feel that anyone is going to understand how you feel. And unless they've been there, they can't. And it's nothing to make them feel bad about. And in fact, you don't. When you're in that dark place, you don't feel bad for other people. You don't feel resentful, is what I should say. You don't feel resentment to them that they can't understand how you feel because they're not there. And the only way I can speak on this is because I've come out of that well with the slippy, slidey sides on it, that I would say 99% of people listening to this that know me had never any idea that's where I was. I came out of this 5, 6 years ago in a very short time. And for the first time in a very long time, probably since I was in my teenage years, maybe before that, I don't know. But for the first time in a very long time, I knew what it felt like to cheer up. It was huge, absolutely huge. I lost my sister to suicide in 95. She was 36. I wasn't that close to her, unfortunately. She left home when I was 6 years old and emigrated to Canada. Kind of how I ended up here in a long, roundabout way. But sadly, she actually took her life before I even moved over here. But I was the last family member who had visited her on holiday just the summer beforehand. So that was hard for me because I knew that she had wanted to talk. She kept saying that we need to talk, we have to talk, we should have a talk. And she really tried to reach out to me. I had no idea where she was coming from. None. None at all. Because, we would be sitting there around dinner or whatever. Okay, so you wanted to talk, so talk. I didn't understand that this was something deeply, deeply personal and something that was really troubling her. And yes, there were, some things that you can see in retrospect, but she was very, very well respected in her community. She was a loving adopted mother. She was a loving wife and a sister to me, and loved to pieces in her career. And she worked with disabled children. Now, what bigger empathic soul can you get than someone who either works with disabled or handicapped or whatever your woke term is for it that's making it acceptable for you to listen to right now? Like, it really matters, people. But the true empath that works with people with disabilities and animals are usually the ones who are most troubled, because in a sense we hide behind those because they don't have that voice or that vocabulary or that ability to be able to say they're really depressed, they need help. We hide, we withdraw because we don't want to be a burden. The worst thing that will make us feel even worse about how we're feeling when we're depressed, or whatever you want to fit into this category of suicidal or what condition or anything else, you don't want to be a burden. That makes it worse. That makes you feel worse whenever you actually have to say, I need help. Because we feel that from what we've done in the past, what we've said in the past, how people have seen us should have been a big enough signal to give us help. Unfortunately, and this is no one's fault on either side of the line, unfortunately, it's not as easy to see that or recognize that, because unless you're in that place, you don't understand where they're coming from. I want to put it out there right now that if there is anyone listening to this who is going through a really, really hard time, I'm here to talk to. I've been down the road. I've come up from that road. I've gone down in that hole and I've come up from it. And I thank God and I thank a wonderful man who I'm now a practitioner under for helping me find the right direction and helping me to make the right choices in order to change that myself. Rather than a couple of failed attempts when I was younger, which were really cries for help, and a few of the maybe soft approaches, if you like, are generally cries for help. Please don't miss those cries for help, people, if you see them. At the same time, you cannot stop one. If someone has put their mind to the fact that they are going to end their lives, there is nothing, and I mean nothing, you can do to stop it. I'll tell you why. When it has come to that point where someone has decided that that's it, they are no longer useful in this earth, they are no longer wanted, they are no longer needed, they don't belong, which is another big one. And they are better off out of this situation, out of this equation, out of this madness that's going on. They've maybe lost their home, lost their job, lost their loved ones, whatever it is. You cannot stop them. It is still a choice. And whatever your beliefs are out there, please, please, I am begging you, respect the person's choice, because there's nothing you could have done to change it. I heard someone talk one time. It was actually a personal conversation I was having. We were talking about suicide. And they said that, it's not necessarily a bad thing because it is a choice and you have to respect somebody's choice. It's like, do you want dessert after dinner? No. Okay, that's fine. It's your choice. Move on. It's a little bit harder, right? But it's still a choice that someone else has made that you do not have control over that person. A lot of people should listen to that. You do not have control over another person. You do not have control over another person's thoughts, words, deeds, actions, anything. So get over it. You have to accept people for who they are, what they want to do, and what their life and death's choices are. I am not condoning it, but I am not encouraging it either. Because some of the most troubled souls are some of the most trapped souls who need to have an avenue to explore, to be able to spread their wings and be accepted and be rejoiced over for who they are and the abilities that they have. And just because they don't fit into your little box or your little box or your little box, or tick this one or that one, or do the norm, or go into the stereotypical this, that, or the other, they are not cast out. They are better than that. And I want to also challenge any of you who are feeling this situation or position that if you need help, and I mean this, if you need help, get it. Do not be afraid to go and ask. Find a complete and utter stranger. Someone like me would be perfect. I have no qualms over helping you. I have no judgments. I will not say, oh, you're right to do this or wrong to. No, but I listen. If I can help you with choices that you're thinking of making or considering making, or don't know how to get to the end of it, or don't know how to get out of this big dark well, Finnessiamhealth.com. My personal email is Wendie@Finnessiamhealth.com, and that's Wendie with an IE, WENDIE at Finnessiamhealth.com. You can criticize as well all you want. Thank you very much. If you want to send me those emails, they will be all read and respectfully deleted. I will only spend my time helping those who need help, who appreciate what I do, because that's where I have to put myself to have a better quality of life and to be able to do what I'm here to do, and that is to try and help. So if you're there and if you don't want to be there, reach out, whether that's to me, whether it's to someone else. Maybe you know someone who has tried to help you before And unless you are completely and utterly 3000% committed to going through with it, please don't. Helplines I know are swamped. Rates have gone up something like 400 to 600% than has been before this pandemic. I mean, people are running around thinking that there's something going to kill them. Almost 2 years on, why are they not dead lying in the street? Go look up your statistics on Worldometer. Go look up the statistics of people that have died from every other disease on the planet and suicides, and then tell me that there's something to be worried about, because it's all nonsense. And I completely understand those who are in that place that don't think there's anyone there to listen to them or help them, because they're all running around like they're chickens with their heads cut off saying the sky's falling. Yeah, you can't find a normal person amongst them all, can you? You have to laugh. No, you're not going mad. No, you're not going mad. You may be depressed. All of this may have come on you because of certain circumstances. Trust me, you're not going mad. You may see things a little bit differently than others. You may feel things a little bit differently than others. And you may not understand how to cope or deal with what you're going through. Ending your life isn't the answer for it, though. I guarantee it. How did I get out of mine? I'm glad you asked. I went on a mission to help my own health 6 years ago, after traditional healthcare had failed me for over 2 years, not finding out the roots of pain, the roots of muscles cramping, the roots of brain fog, heart palpitations, bad sleeping patterns, and lots of other things. Hormones were looked at. That was a little bit of it for sure, because I'd also had a hysterectomy in 2014. And then it was found out that there was Lyme disease. But before the Lyme disease was even found, I was looked after with the depression and or anxiety. Now you can't have both to a certain degree. You can be depressed and have an anxiety attack, but you can't be completely anxious and then have a depression attack, because it's to do with serotonin and they're at totally different ends of the spectrum. But it's final and balance. And yes, Dr. Linus Pauling did say that every disease can be looked at from a nutrient deficiency standpoint. So basically, you can link most diseases back to being a nutrient deficiency. And certainly, whenever I started to feed my body with the tissue salts and cell salts that I work with on a daily basis, that brought me around in no time at all. It was nothing short of a miracle. It really was. I understood again what it felt like to feel happy. It took a while. I'm not going to tell you it's going to change overnight, because it's not. But if you make a commitment to try something, even if it's your one last attempt at something, do it. Do it. You owe it to yourself. To yourself, not to anybody else. Don't go into the peer pressure or anything else. This is your choice. This is your life. Do you feel you're here for something more than this? You probably are. We all are. We just have to get through the last bit of this nonsense. But the future's bright, and I'd love you to come with me to it. Thank you again for watching. You can reach me all at finnessiamhealth.com. Again, my private email is Wendie, Wendie, at finnessiamhealth.com. And I really, really hope that if this has hit a nerve or hit the nail on the head, that you'll share this, that you'll pass a comment, that you'll let someone else see this. You'll put this on your Facebook wall or post it to Instagram or share it around. All I want to do is to help one more person. And that's it. So, sorry this was a bit of a gloom and doom episode, but I think it's something that we need to address, because not many people will talk openly about this. I have no qualms. And if any of you have any questions, please let me know. And again, the reach out to you all is always there as well. If you have an experience, if you'd like to come on and share your experiences, or whether you're a professional in the natural health industry, or a fitness coach, or a wellness coach, or an animal advocate, it doesn't matter. You've got a story to share, you've got a voice, you've got a tale to tell. And we'd love you to come and join us on here so we can help you tell it and spread your little message out to the world as well, because that's all we're trying to do. So thanks again for being here, folks. Like I say, sorry that it's a wee bit gloom and doom. We'll try and pick it up for you for next time. Thanks very much for being here. Love you all. Stay pawsome. Till next time. Bye-bye.
All information, products, and topics discussed in the show are simply the host and guest's personal opinions and are for informational purposes only. None claim to offer a diagnosis, treatment, or cure. All listeners and viewers are encouraged to do their own research and consult with their own healthcare providers before changing or adapting any new protocols. Finnessiam Holistic Health, nor any of its entities, assume any responsibility or liability for any consequence relating directly or indirectly from the information contained within the podcast.